everybody, Kat here. I am with my good friends Katy and Rob, and we are here at Katy Farm on the Big Island of Hawaii. And a topic that we're going to be discussing today is nonviolent communication, which is something that I really think needs to have more light shed upon because it could really enhance our relationships and make conflict a lot less. Okay, to backtrack here, Katy grew up with nonviolent communication, so she's very familiar using that method, and Rob is very passionate about the topic himself.
My brother first introduced me to a video of it, and I saw it. It was this guy who I later found out was Marshall Rosenberg, the creator of nonviolent communication. He was sitting on a chair with puppets in his hands talking, and at the time I was like, whatever, like, they're just words, like, I just want to say what I really mean, and then I just forgot about it for a while, and then came back to it later, and I really enjoyed it.
It isn't until now, like, doing my own study, doing it with Rob, that I feel like I can see a new level of how important it is in my life.
What is nonviolent communication, and how does that differ from the standard conversation in regular daily living?
Nonviolent communication has connection at its heart. So when you're speaking to someone, it doesn't matter what the words are. Your aim is to connect with that person and have that person fully seen, and also have yourself fully seen at the same time. And I find that a lot of conversations that we have in our day-to-day lives don't have that as its like main principle.
Or maybe there's sort of the intention to connect with someone, but not really the tools that actually lead to maybe a deeper connection with that person. Listened to a lot, I think, in our day-to-day, and maybe we don't listen to others as much as might feel good. Definitely think that people are hungry to be heard. That in general, people really want their ideas, their thoughts, their feelings, and ultimately their needs to be heard by other people. And that maybe the people in their lives haven't been shown how to do that in a way that would feel good for them.
But the one thing that I love about nonviolent communication, or one of the things that I love about it, is that when both people, it doesn't matter if you're in a conflict or just talking about where you want to go for lunch, when both people feel like that they matter, that their needs matter, that they're considered and understood, then the possibilities open up within that conversation, within that context, and a lot of things become possible that you wouldn't have thought of before. A lot of walls come down.
And usually a win-win situation is available.
Where did nonviolent communication originate from?
It came from Marshall Rosenberg, and I've heard him speak on it a little bit, and he says that it came basically, like, the style of communication came from this question in him about how he can fully embody love in every moment.
Why does nonviolent communication work so well? Like, what is at the core of it that's causing people to be able to connect at a better level?
Yeah, so the main thing, like I said before, was connection, and the way that one of the ways, not the way, to do that is through empathy, and that can look so many different ways.
What works for me about nonviolent communication is finding a connection with someone. So, and after I can understand someone, maybe there's a chance that they can understand me. And when we have this compassion going on between us, like, I know what it's like to be in that person's shoes, and they know what it's like maybe just a little bit to be in mine, then we can come up with solutions together that work for both of us. It's just so natural. It works because it's just a really natural way of solving conflict, of communicating what we need, what we want with people, even just communicating appreciation. It works because it touches people at a feelings and needs level, which is kind of deep down. If I'm just sharing my experience with Rob, like I come to Rob and we work together, say, and I say to him, gosh, I'm just feeling really tired today, and I just can't seem to have any energy. I've already had 3 cups of coffee and I just feel so blah.
Yeah, I had that like same thing yesterday. I think I had like a Gatorade and a mother and coffee, and still I was like feeling like crap. Yeah.
In that example, I shared my experience with Rob, and he immediately shared back his experience without really giving, I guess, my experience a place to be heard. So I didn't feel like I was really heard for where I'm at. Although I could see that he had experienced something similar, so maybe we could connect on that, but I didn't necessarily have space just to be heard on.
Honestly, I do that a lot myself. And then it's only after I'm done saying about like, oh, my previous day I did that. I'm like, wait a minute, like that has no correlation with their lives. It's just a reflection back on my own life. So cool. I'm very actually glad that scenario came up first.
Yeah, and I think it's also important that like your story doesn't have to correlate with anyone else's story. Everything can be like come down to a base level where the stories might look completely different, but on a human level, the things experienced might have been similar, or at least you can understand what that person was experiencing when they say it in a certain way. So if I come home and I'm really upset that the dishes aren't done and I'm just so frustrated, then I can express that, and a lot of people might understand because they've been in a similar situation. And then maybe I could say it to someone else, and they're like, they might have experienced the same thing. The housemates weren't doing the dishes, but they might have been super, super zen, super chill about it, you know, and just gone, it's all right, you know, the universe will take care of it, like, and they wouldn't have been frustrated at all. And so in that example, they're not like correlated. But certainly the Zen dude would have been frustrated about something in his life and might have been needing some order about something in his life. And so if we bring it down to, I was just so frustrated and I just really needed some order and some community around doing the dishes, then maybe that person has a lot more of a chance to really hear what I was saying. Rather than just saying, I'm just, they don't do the dishes, don't you? Like, you know what that's like.
Because they can relate to maybe needing some organization in their world, but maybe they can't relate to the scenario of having dirty dishes.
Yeah. Actually, that brings up a question that occurred to me right now. So, how would somebody want to initiate using nonviolent communication? And they've studied it, they understand it, but no one else, like the person they're talking to may not. But maybe somebody like on the bus that you know is going to hop off within like 20 minutes. So you don't want to be like, hey, do you want to talk about this way? And this is nonviolent communication. And it's, you know, like maybe something like that. Like someone you sparked an interest with and they're, you know, like everyone's met that stranger who's just suddenly like pouring their heart out to you. And you're like, oh man, I'm like that person right now. And I got to make sure I give them something they could attach their life with a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to try and fix anything in them
Yeah.
to start with.
Well, I guess patch isn't the right word. Maybe, I don't know, give them some upliftment.
Yeah. So when we try and fix something, I think a lot of the time we immediately jump into solutions really early. And solutions don't often work if we don't have a full understanding of the situation. And so that's where your empathy comes in first. And in that situation with the guy on the bus who really wants to share his life with you, one of the best things that you can give that person is just to fully hear them in that moment. And a lot of people might not have experienced someone empathizing, reflecting back to them what you're hearing at all in their lives before, or very little. And so even if you just reflect back what you're hearing, some feelings, some needs, or whatever that looks like for you and that person, then they might find some more strength, some more freedom, something else in their life that they didn't have before they met you.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, like the greatest gift you can give someone sometimes in a lot of in a lot of situations is to just listen to them, like, and really hear them.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times that's really what we're looking for too, is because when you hear it coming from somebody else, but even the same thing that you said, it makes your situation a lot more clear.
Man, I'm just so, like, I get so frustrated and tired. Like, every weekend on Sundays, my neighbors mow the lawn, and they do all of their hardware. They use all their hardware tools and things like that. And, like, we have this agreement in our neighborhood where there's no tools on the Sunday. You know, this is our rest day. This is.
Listen, why don't you just call them, call up the management of the neighborhood and just tell them that they're, like, breaking the rules? Why don't you just, like, or, you could just talk to them and tell them that, that you're frustrated about it. Why don't you just do that?
Like, I've done that. I've tried it, and they just keep doing it,
Yeah, that's not as bad as, like, my neighbors. My neighbors are always having really loud parties every weekend. Like, really, I can't imagine it's as bad as what I'm going through.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Shut down!
See that quite a bit.
Maybe not to the degree I just
Not to
did.
that degree. Like, the whole thing of, like, oh, well, I've also been that person in situations where, say, a girlfriend had an issue with someone they weren't interested in. Like, just stop talking to them. I'm like, why are you still
Yeah.
why are you still doing that? Just don't stop. It's not that hard.
It's not good for you. Stop talking.
And I
anyway.
see it's not getting to them, but then I get frustrated it's not getting to them, and then I walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see that in many different forms.
Yeah.
The advice is given from a place of wanting to help,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not heard from that place. Like,
Yeah.
he hears, well, what did you hear when I gave you that advice?
Well, I kind of just, like, I was stuck for words for a second there, because, like, you didn't respond to anything that I was saying necessarily. It was brand new information. I had nowhere to put all of this stuff inside me that was upset, And so, yeah, I guess I just hope that you have problems as well.
Yeah. It's brand new information with more brand new information, and then it's just left there instead of working on that information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can also, being given advice when you're in sort of a vulnerable place or sharing a feeling or something that's going inside of you, it can really be like a shutdown of that feeling, that emotion, and also, or even sort of like, there's lots of things that can happen, like maybe they direct, like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, or like maybe I'm not trying hard enough, or it can come out as like anger toward the other person, like, who do you think you are to give me this advice? You don't know me, you don't know what my situation, and you're not listening, kind of thing. Yeah, like Marshall Rosenberg used to say, ask 5 times before giving advice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't literally mean that, but I think the point is that it's really important to get to the heart of things.
I think, like, one example that we can use here is the question, do I look fat in this dress?
That's a good question, yeah.
Because you can say no to that, and a lot of the times typically a woman, doesn't have to be, a lot of times the woman says, like, still is like, they're not sure, It's like, they can hear no from 5 different people, and they're still like...
And still feel fat in the dress, maybe.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, the no is kind of like a fixing, kind of like, oh, I see that you're worried about this, here, I'll put a patch on it, I'll fix it up, and you're good.
But it doesn't feel good. But maybe if I'm to say, like, hey, Rob, do you think I look fat in this dress?
And you're anxious about this party that you're going to, and you really want to look your best for that.
Yeah. And I just, like, sometimes I just want assurance that, it's like, it's kind of a, basically he's just asking a question that is kind of making me think about, oh yeah, what do I really want right now? Do I really want him to tell me that I look good in the dress or that I look fat in the dress? Or do I really want to feel like confident and sexy and like, do I want to like kind of encourage myself and feel like some assurance within myself? And maybe Rob can help me to see that by just asking a simple question rather than just saying like, oh no, you don't look fat at all. You know?
And getting the same response year after year after year.
Right. And sometimes,
Yeah.
like, it's cool. Sometimes I do need to just hear, like, a no or a yes. Like, it's not always a situation to dig deeper, but
Yeah.
a lot of times it is. Like,
Yeah.
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 Good point. Yeah, I think in that case, having the question apply to the person. So in that case, oh, are you feeling a little insecure? Maybe I know you're nervous about going to this party. And then after that conversation, the affirmation of like, you are looking really good and like, I love your curves. Like, I feel like it's a cherry on top. So
It's, yeah.
Just
After you've reached the
dig
heart,
deep and then find the treasure chest.
you can definitely give your opinions are, like, beautiful, and
Yeah.
and even advice is beautiful, but it just, sometimes we jump the gun and skip straight to that
Right.
without having really acknowledged that person and where they're at. So, like, yeah, it would feel really good to be, like, if I were asked, like, are you feeling insecure? And I might be like, yeah, I am feeling insecure, and I don't know if I'm sexy right now, and I really want to be accepted at this party. And then, like, you know, feel that out, you know, it's out there. Then you're like, well, you know, if you want to know what I think you look beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love this about you. I love the way you look in that dress.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then I can feel like, okay, I know how I feel, and I'm connected to this person.
Yeah.
I think we've done that a few times. Like, not with the fat question, but something like,
Alright.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Healthy relationship.
totally. I feel like nonviolent communication is so much a key to how we relate in our intimate relationship, and it just like really cultivates so much satisfaction. ABC is not just about communication. It's more than that, and even first and foremost, it's kind of how we treat ourselves. I don't know, first and foremost, it's hard to say that because me and you and you and you behind the camera, we're all interdependent, you know, so it's hard to draw the line between where helping myself or helping you is, because helping you might help myself, and helping myself might help you, so give yourself the more you might be able to give another person. It's kind of this winfinity sort of cycle of love.
There was the one example that I just thought of, where there was this rabbi who he'd been working for like 40 years or something in this community, and his son died, and he realized, because he got a whole bunch of feedback from people like trying to support him, who they said things like, oh, he's in a better place now, or what other things do they say when people die?
My condolences.
Like, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
things like that. And he realized then that he'd been saying all of those things to people over 40 years, and he felt worse hearing them all. I guess it's because, like, there's no space for fully the mourning with other people. Only mourning inside yourself. And there can be such a healing happening when it's, like, on the community level.
Yes. There's a power in mourning together.
Yeah.
Grieving together makes the weight of the sadness seem less heavy on us all.
There's no fixing that sadness, you know, it needs time. And I remember my brother got cancer. He's fine now. And he shared it with a woman at a party that we were at. And she didn't know what to say. She kind of said, I'm so sorry, and then walked away, because it surprised her so much, and she didn't know what to say at all.
Yeah.
And my brother told me how much it meant to him to have me really, like, listen to him and sit with him in in his sadness, in the depth of how much that was like really shocking for him. Just to have someone there to say like, wow, this is so deep and heavy for you. You're really not sure how to handle this. This is so sad and scary. Without trying to fix a single thing.
I've got a good example. So,
Okay,
like,
cool.
I might come up to Rob and he's been making something for me. For instance, yeah, just like say he's making dinner for a bunch of people, and I'm holding like a dinner, and he's working with me or for me, and I say to him, "Great job, Rob. You've done a great job." This is meant to be a gratitude, and it can sometimes feel really good to hear, but
Yeah.
sometimes it might feel good for me to specifically tell Rob how I feel.
How I helped you.
Yeah, how he's helped me specifically. So like, Rob, I feel so like secure and just like relaxed that you're taking care of this. It's really just meeting a lot of my needs, just to know that that's done and I can focus on this other thing.
Yeah. And that feels like so different, receiving that, than the great job. Because I don't know where that's coming from at all. I have no idea how I felt with Katy. I'm just like, yeah, alright, thanks. You know?
Yeah, I'm doing a great
it
job.
can be very vague.
Hopefully,
It's not a bad
I won't
thing.
be doing
Yeah,
a bad
better
job.
than nothing.
Yeah, it's still nice. It can be nice to hear, but I think oftentimes as a child, hearing like appreciation like that, like good job, there was always kind of this like fear of like having done a bad job, like or like I'm good now. I got to keep on the good side,
Yeah.
or else
Yeah.
maybe I'll get on the bad side.
Yeah, and something else that comes to my mind when you say that is it reminds me in my English class when my teachers used to say, any word that you see like the word great or like or get or big, like replace with a different word that has more meaning to it and more details so
Right.
that your story or your paper has more meaning. And yeah, so when you say like, it's the same thing when I see somebody do something I really appreciate, it's like a paper you could almost think of. You want to get more into details and you want to get more into your own personal feelings.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, great job, and it's vague and you're kind of just like, yeah, thanks, and then it's very low level of appreciation versus when you get nitty gritty into details. And you don't have to like, go on with a monologue, but
But you can.
you can. I mean, that would mean a lot to that person.
Maybe just a short like, thank you so much. I'm really feeling this because you're doing this for me. And then there's celebrations too. Like sometimes people just want to share something that's beautiful in their lives, or that they see as like wonderful in their lives, and to just hold space for that celebration. Like, and like, woohoo, yay for you. Like, yeah, I think people are pretty good about that in general.
I don't know, maybe we could do a little example. Like, I'm so happy that my foot is healing now. I can kind of walk on it a little bit, and it might not be too much longer until I'm running.
Oh, that must feel so good to know that you're gonna soon be back on your feet again. Because I know you love to move and you love to be active. You love to feel
exactly.
that. You love to feel capable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign up for that marathon. Yeah, if you could give one piece of advice to those who want to, not to those, to everyone who want to be able to just have good relationships in their life, whether it be friendships or with their parents or with their partner, with the stranger on the bus. You're meeting them very quickly, or you're gonna live with them your entire life. What would be that one piece of advice that you could give for just strong communication and easiest ways to get over conflict?
But it's pretty simple.
Simplify.
The heart of it is, for me, I think, is empathy. Like, listening for what that person is really needing and feeling behind what they're saying. To see the heart of someone, in a sense. To see their heart and their mind. To see the fullness of who they are. which is kind of complicated, but
Or
kind of simple, kind of
so
complicated.
simple, yeah. But it takes a lot of practice, I think, within our own lives.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would say, to, especially around areas of conflict, to hear someone else out until they're finished first. Or maybe if there's like a lot in that person, just until there's just enough space for them to hear you. And if we hear them out first, do a little bit of empathy, just even if it's just reflecting back exactly what they've said to you, then there will be more space for what you have to say. And then you might not get to say what you want to say as soon as you want to say it, but they will receive it in a way that you will love more likely than not.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Practice empathy. That's like the best.
I had a friend who once told me, in terms of listening, wait till the other person is done speaking. Like, to the point where it's almost awkward of silence. Like, wait to see if they say anything else. And then reflect. And then continue the process. And then maybe come to some sort of advice. Maybe not, you know.
That can work really well. And there are some times where that person will keep on talking longer than you can listen to them.
Yeah.
True.
And
That's
then
a good
it's
point.
important. It's
That's
so important
happened.
when... That's what happened?
Well, I'm sure we all have had that, like,
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
times in our lives.
It's important to interrupt when you're losing, when you're being lost, basically. And just retouch in with what they're saying. And then you might be able to find some more patience, or you might really just need to say, I'm super tired, this is kind of like, I'm super lost with what you're saying.
Yeah. Thank you guys for the lovely interview / conversation. Thank you.